Hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr, and as you can see, this is the actual should you pull video for Lightning in Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, as opposed to the kind of jokey one that I made in the last video. This time around we're actually going to go through her kit, go everything that she gets that's new out of her burst and her LD. She's a very, very hyped character for very good reason, so you'll want to know, if you want to know more about what makes her so good, as well as looking at the Lufenia that comes along with her and everything like that, then of course stay tuned and keep on watching. As always, everyone, don't forget to check all of the links in the description box below, including Twitter, Twitch, Discord, and Patreon. Twitch this week, on Monday, I'll be doing a viewing party for the community stream for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. And I know that this video is technically a little on the premature side for Lightning, but based on the Japanese schedule, we can be pretty safe in the assumption that she is going to be the next character. And I have a pretty strong feeling that she's going to be coming out very, very quickly after the community stream, because we haven't had any events since Gladio, and it'll be about a week until the next one. So do forgive me if anything has been subject to change, if the banners change or anything, and I will be basing this video off the Japanese version of what we can expect to see from Lightning. And I'll be basing my Twitch schedule as well around what we come to see within the community stream. On Patreon, I always shout out one of my patrons at random every time I release a video, and this time around it's going to be Valdrick20k, who is a brand new patron to along with the other group, so thank you very much for joining us. And if you'd like a title card just like Valdrick has here, as well as other benefits like voice chats with me and being included in the Would You Pull sections of my videos, then perhaps consider becoming a patron yourself as well. Don't forget to check out all of the links for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia around me in the description box, as you can see here, and of course don't forget to check out all the other content creators out there besides myself. So let's start by taking a look over at DissidiaDB.com and having a look at exactly what Lightning does and why she's as hyped up as she is, enough to warrant me making a video that's short and silly, just like I did with Noctis before her. Now, there's two banners that should come with Lightning, and as I said, this is subject to change. Hopefully I haven't embarrassed myself, but if there is any changes from this, then I will be reporting it within the community stream recap video that I'll make as soon as the stream is finished. Now, as it stands, there are two banners that feature Lightning's LD, the first of which doesn't have her EX in it, but has Zack, Raijin, and Penelo in it, and then the second of which does have her EX in it, as well as her LD and her burst, and also features Edge and Vincent. So if you don't have her EX, then obviously you're going to want that as well. If you do, then there are other characters you can pull on. This should also be the dawn of level 80 and cool abilities as well, and if you want to learn more about those, then do check out the video that I've made specifically all about that. But if you haven't looked at Lightning before, Lightning is a damage dealer. That's what she does. She does damage, she takes a lot of free turns, she takes a lot of turns as well, and she does damage. Her Spark Strike and Flourish of Steel are both Brave HP attacks that give you either Commando or Ravager status, which honestly aren't that different from one another. One of them increases your speed, the other increases your bravery, and if you use the same ability twice, or the HP attack plus or the Brave or HP attack plus that goes with the stance that you're in, it levels that stance up by one, and then once you've got it to a level 2, you get a plus version of the other stance skill that you would have used, and it's just stronger. You get bravery refunded when you use Spark Strike plus, things like that. So basically you're supposed to alternate between them. Flourish of Steel has a lower action delay, so your turn will come about quicker. Spark Strike is like, it gives you a bigger increase in bravery before you actually do the bravery HP attack. The biggest thing with Lightning before now was her EX. Now, Army of One was a really strong attack in general because it was fast recast rate, it hit really hard, it had delay in its kit, it gave you the Knight of Etro buff, which basically whenever you break an enemy, she gets another turn straight after for free, which obviously is going to help her to increase her EX recast rate, it's going to get her more damage, and it's not going to add to your turn count. And then when her EX Plus came about, it then made it so that it gave you Thunder Imperil as well, and your damage was exponentially larger because when you were using Army of One or Army of One Plus, which was the Ravager version, which had an extra turn of delay in it, then you get a significantly larger hit count. You would start the quest with the first skill being free, so you'd go into Ravager status and then use Army of One straight after. So you start with a re-break, you start with like free turns. She just hits the ground running. But Lightning's biggest issue is that she's always been a very selfish damage dealer. Everything she does revolves around her own damage. Now, her LD is crazy powerful. It does a lot of things, not only for her, but for the party as well, but it's still very focused on her. So Crushing Blow is, again, like Army of One, an ability that unbreaks enemies, which allows her to re-break the enemy so that she's then getting more free turns from her Knight of Etro buff. It's a double AoE single HP attack, which obviously is great for dumping bravery, like as long as you've saved some up. It also inflicts her Thunder Imperil, and she enchants herself with Thunder while she has her Knight of Etro buff as well. But it also gives her a brand new buff called Saviour of Souls, which increases the amount of HP damage that she deals, as well as her Brave Overflow limit, and also gives the party 20% of max bravery brave regen, and increases the amount of bravery damage that is dealt by the party by 20% when attacking something that's broken. Not only that, but for the next 2 turns following using a Crushing Blow, she has no turn, she doesn't increase turn count, she doesn't use her ability uses, and she gets them for instantly. She gets 2 turns for free instantly. And bearing in mind the rest of her kit, where she's able to unbreak, take free turns, use those turns immediately, use the EX, delay things, re-break things. She's just got control by herself for a ridiculous amount of time, and all the while she's got this brave regen, she's dealing heavy amounts of damage, and it all just adds up to just turns and turns and turns and turns and turns of damage. So then we move on to her burst as well. Now, Gestalt Drive is another just big brave HP attack, but this one is actually a double HP dump, which is great as well. And it also increases her brave and HP limit by 50%, or like by 50% during the burst. But it also has a really strong burst effect that doesn't look like much when you read it because it's very simple. But what it does is actually extremely powerful, and it's a 10-turn burst effect. Thank God, because she needs it, because she takes so many free turns that you need to keep this under control, otherwise you're going to run out really quickly. And an extra use of her LD, which she already has 4 uses of, is pretty staggering. Like, you're going... Like, I will never tell people to pity a burst, because I pitied Noctis and regret it slightly, but it's a damn good burst. It increases your bravery damage dealt by 50%, and your brave overflow limit by 30%. It increases damage dealt while hitting a broken target by 30%. It increases HP damage by another 20% on top of the 20% she's getting from a Saviour of Souls buff. And your max bravery damage limit goes by 20% like a lot of other bursting. So, in total, she's getting 20% HP damage up from Saviour of Souls, 20% damage up from the burst effect, overflow limit up by 20% from Saviour of Souls, overflow limit up by 30% from burst effect, bravery damage up by 50% from the burst effect, bravery damage up by 20% from Saviour of Souls, bravery damage up by 30% on from the burst from... it all adds up to a crazy number. I think in total, so she's getting 40% extra HP damage on everything she does as long as the burst is active and her Saviour of Souls is active. Her brave overflow limits increased by 50%. Her bravery damage cap, or bravery damage in general, is increased by 100%. And she gets 20% bravery cap on top of it. And the team now has a 20% max bravery regen. That's a lot of damage to churn out of one character. And bearing in mind that you're still delaying and breaking and re-breaking and getting free turns the whole time you're doing this, the only thing you really have to worry about when it comes to Lightning is keeping on top of her own turns, because as much as she's getting free skill uses out of pretty much everything, like her EX gives her free skill use, her LD gives her 2, she's just churning out damage like nobody's business, and it really does pick up. However, you're not going to necessarily bring Lightning to everything. If the enemy's Lufenia kind of requires that they get a turn, you're not going to be bringing Lightning to that. Noctis suffers from a similar issue, where if you're taking too many turns before they get theirs, then it can cause some problems for you. And obviously everything that Lightning does is also Thunder Elemental, which means if an enemy absorbs Thunder, then you ain't going to be taking Lightning. However, there are a very large number of fights in which Lightning absolutely excels, because of her ability to churn out so much damage in such a short turn count, because a lot of her turns are free now as well, that you're just able to just kill things. You don't get much better than Lightning for just getting the job done and killing the thing. Now, Lightning does have a call ability. She has Spark Strike as her call ability, but the chances are you're probably not going to take this very frequently because, well, A, Lightning's probably going to be in your party quite a lot, so you're not able to bring it. But even outside of it, it's literally just a melee Brave HP attack that gives you Bravery Gen. The Bravery Gen is fairly strong, and like it's great with characters like Warrior of Light or characters that thrive on having high initial bravery, but it's not something that I would pick over a lot of other calls. And when it comes to her artifacts, attack and max bravery. All you care about with her. You get like Mighty Spark Strike, Mighty Flourish of Steel, they're fine, but you're gonna want max bravery in attack, especially now that her bravery gen scales off of her max bravery. And then lastly, her high armor is the power high armor. Yes, you're going to want this for Lightning, because a 15% increase in the bravery damage. Her hit counts on Spark Strike and Flourish of Steel aren't that high. She relies on like dealing heavy damage within those hits, so you're going to want those bravery hits to be as hard as possible. And because she has such frequent HP dumps within her EX and LD, etc., then having those extra HP dumps and being able to get that extra damage in from the few bravery attacks she's getting in between them is going to cause her damage to rise exponentially. So yes, I would recommend picking up her high armor if you're going for Lightning's kit. So now let's take a look at the Tyrant and the Centurion blades that we're going to be facing alongside the event that comes with Lightning's Burst and LD and the Lufenia mission that's going to accompany it. Now this one's actually relatively simple compared to some of the Lufenia missions out there, but you do need to go about it in a specific way. In terms of team composition, it's quite simple. In terms of actually making sure the Lufenia Orb never goes off, it's a different story. Now, the Tyrant will summon Centurion blades periodically, which immediately spawn with their Lufenia Orb. Now, you need to make sure that these blades die before this Lufenia Orb goes off. You can't delay it, you can't stop that from going off. All you can do is kill it before it goes off. Now, the blade can't be delayed, but it can be broken and rebroken, and it can have its turn deleted. So characters, obviously this is designed for Lightning, so you're meant to take advantage of Lightning's really high speed, making sure that the Centurion blade dies quickly by breaking, re-breaking, etc. But try not to waste Army of One on it if you can help it, because it doesn't delay it. But once you kill the blade, or if you, the other thing I'll mention is that a Mid-Italian can also delete the turns from the Centurion blades as well, so if you don't want to have to worry about it later on, then bringing your own Mid-Italian or a Mid-Italian friend is going to help you a great deal. But once the blade is destroyed, that's when the Tyrant will immediately cleanse itself of all debuffs, make itself temporarily debuff immune, and then spawn its own Lufenia Orb. Now, neither of these you want to go off, because if they go off, you're going to die. But the condition for the Lufenia Orb on the Tyrant itself is thunder damage. And honestly, there are so many ways of dealing thunder damage now on very strong characters. Like, you've got Lightning, obviously. You have Raijin, who is on this banner alongside her. You have Garnet, who has Thunder Enchant to the party. And you have Desh, all of which are going to be able to make it so that you never really have to worry about the Lufenia Orb going off from the Tyrant itself. And then when the Tyrant respawns a Centurion blade, the Lufenia Orb comes off, and then you have to worry about the blade again. So you need to kind of alternate between making sure that the Lufenia Orb never goes off on the blade and making sure that you kill it quickly, and then just keeping the Tyrant at bay with thunder damage as much as possible, with your various Thunder Enchant Imperilers, and obviously Lightning if you decide to go for her. So for that reason, honestly, in terms of team composition, I would normally not put Lightning here, but I think because so many people are going to pull for her, I think it would be remiss not to at least mention her. But if you wanted to, like, a tank is going to do really well here as well, so if you wanted to put your new Gladio to use, then you could bring him along. If you wanted to, like, level your Zac up to level 80, he's synergy, so he'll work really well as well. But as long as you bring thunder damage or a thunder enchanter across the board, then you're gonna do well here. And in terms of summon and friend unit, a Mid-Italian is gonna be your best friend here, because deleting the turns of the blade as and when they come about is gonna be really handy for you. And then summon wise, honestly, as long as you're bringing the damage and bringing everything you need in terms of like just killing the thing quickly as possible, you shouldn't really have to worry too much about which summon you take. So honestly, a character like Ramu, Brothers, Odin, or like anything would work here really. My biggest suggestion here, however, would be to not take Kuja, because these guys resist holy damage very, very heavily, and they've kind of made it so it's like, no, you need to pull for Lightning. We're done with Kuja now, so don't bring Kuja to this. So now we come to the big question of the video, one that I've already answered in another video. Should you pull on Lightning's banner? Now, like I said earlier, I would not generally recommend that people go pitying a burst, but I think that Lightning's LD and burst give her so much damage output that personally, I'm probably going to use my burst tokens on Lightning's burst, provided I don't pull it throughout any of the banners that accompany her. If you are going for her burst, at least wait and plan and see whether you're planning on pulling on any of the other banners that come with her, because I've seen so many times where people go pulling for a burst and then they pull a dupe for it straight after on another banner, so do be careful of that. But if you want one of the most highly turn efficient, massive damage dealers in the game who will last for a good few months, like a long while, and like, I mean, she's up there with Noctis as like best damage dealer in the game, then you're gonna want Lightning. She's like, in no way is she mandatory like any other character in the game for clearing content. Like, you don't have to have Lightning or you're going to suffer. But my god, does she make your life a lot easier by having her. And not only that, but her banner mates, like, some of them are actually pretty good. And the fact that they get the level 80 treatment early, like particularly looking at like Edge or Raijin and Penelo, they're characters that you could use in other places. So if you wanted them, then they're a great addition and consolation prize if you wanted to grab them on the way. Honestly, the only reason I can think of not to pull for Lightning is if you don't like her, or if you don't particularly like the way that she plays in the game, because she's very much a character that spreads her damage over a number of turns as opposed to dealing it all in one big chunk, like Seraphic Star from Kuja, for example. She likes to spread her damage over many turns and turn stealing, and like, she's not a co-op friend, I will tell you that now. Don't bring her to co-ops, because you will be the ire of everyone that you're in co-op with. Or if you just don't like characters that are considered meta or broken, you know how much I hate that word, but like, if you don't like that kind of character, that's honestly the only reason, other than you can't pull for her, to not at least try and get some of Lightning's gear. And finally, it's time for Would You Pull, the section of the video where you, the viewer, can say whether you would or wouldn't pull on a banner on any given time and explain your reasons why as well. So with Lightning's banner, it's fairly split down the middle in terms of how people are planning to pull for Lightning, but it seems like the large majority of people are going to be pulling for her in one way or another. Now, 54% of people said that they were going to go in with gems, 41% of people said they were going in with tickets, and only 5% of people said that they weren't going in for Lightning at all. Now, most of the comments that I got here for Lightning were like Ice Dragon 70s here, which just says going all in with gems and tickets, because there's a lot of people who are very, very big fans of Lightning. But I've noticed that there's a lot of polarization when it comes to liking Lightning as a character. So Aurelius here says, I'm pulling with tickets because I just need to get her LD. I will burst token her burst weapon if needed. Need her so I can safely skip some future banners and save resources. For example, looking to skip Reno's banner. This is actually my plan as well. Like, I'm going to be trying to ticket her LD because I have quite a large number of tickets thanks to the previous few weeks being actually very generous to me. So I'm going to try and ticket her LD so that I can then just come away from this as like pain-free as possible in terms of keeping my gems up. But I would definitely consider using my burst tokens on Lightning if I didn't pull her burst in any other way. Cobalt Zork here, however, says, I really like Lightning in DFFOO. I got her EX on a realization and I just didn't enjoy playing her. Even after forcing myself to get familiar with her rotations, she just felt meh. So I'm not enthused for her LD, and the banners are very low value for me as I only need her LD and burst. So spiritually, it's a no. But in reality, I'll probably invest some tickets for a character who, from my research, is great for a while and then is hard countered by most Lufenia. I also worry how she'll fare with her high turns while orbs are active. So there are people out there that are not pulling for Lightning because they just don't really like her or the way she plays. The thing that she's best at, and I said this earlier with her kit as well, like there are going to be Lufenia orbs that you're not going to take her to because there's going to be a lot where you actually need the enemy to be able to take a turn, otherwise you're just going to suffer for it. However, in damage race style Lufenias, like the one that comes with her, she absolutely excels. Farbear says, I'll be pulling on the banner for her LD like I do with most protagonists. With about 150 to 200 tickets, then I'll reevaluate. If I get her LD early in the tickets, then I'll probably do the same thing for Reno. Then I'll use my tokens to get her burst, as my gem stash is not where I want it to be with Rude, Cloud, and Beatrix coming up. Your gem stash is going to factor in here. We've just had Gladio, and he may have hurt a lot of people when it comes to like resources pulling for him, and in some ways he's actually more valuable than Lightning is because damage dealers are the quickest types of characters to get power crept as time progresses. But the fact of the matter is that as damage dealers go, Lightning is pretty exceptional. But with Cloud coming up as well, he is a character that's probably just as good as she is in different ways in terms of being a damage dealer, and he's a lot more versatile than she is, so some people may choose to save up for him instead. Tidal Wade finally says gems all the way. I don't have Vincent or Edge yet, so that banner gets everything. If I get her LD simply enough, then I've got a lovely batch of burst tokens waiting too. So it seems like a lot of people who have said that they're spending tickets on this banner are going exclusively for that LD, and then they're going to spend tokens on the burst if they have them available. So thank you very much for every one of my patrons that has voted and cast their comments in order to be featured on this portion of the video. And yeah, so it looks like Lightning is going to be a win for 90% of people. So that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you very much for joining me today. Let me know in the comments below whether you plan on pulling for Lightning or not, whether you actually still appreciate my short jokey videos for some of these like high level meta characters or not, whether you kind of wish I'd stop doing them or not. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it out with any other Opera Omnia players that you may know. And I shall hopefully see you next week with a new schedule, with some new banners coming up, and lots more DFFOO content where that came from. Thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.